What's going on, guys, and welcome back. We have behind us one of everyone's favorite sleds, it seems to be. Very popular, and for 2024 we have the Polaris Assault behind me. So we have talked about the Assault before, and there's not a ton of changes, but if you're new here, we're going to kind of touch on what makes an Assault and why people love them so much. So this is just another model within the Polaris lineup. You know, we talk about XCRs all the time. We talk about VR1s. we're going to consider them the short tracks of the trail world. And when we get up to an Assault, we bump up a little bit. So what's an Assault? Assault is based on the Matryx platform, exact same front end, ergonomics that you get on your XCRs or XCs, but it's got a little bit of length in the back. So we're up to a 146-inch track on these. And Bruce from Southside Sales and Service is gonna kind of walk us through what makes an Assault and why people love them so much.
Hey guys. Yeah, I mean, like Jesse said, the Assault has been, super popular since its conception, really. But when 17 came around and they changed the rear suspension, they lightened things up a little bit. It became, in the Axis chassis, it became very, very popular.
Right. So this is it. When it was released, it really is a crossover. It's a 50-50 trail and off-trail sled. What it did turn out to be is a lot of people's favorite trail sleds.
Yeah, it did. It was #1 full-size sled in Northeast more than a couple of years. So I'm not sure where it fell in last year with all the other new stuff that came out in the Boost and all that, but it's still, even yesterday we were talking to multiple people about Assaults, for new purchases.
Yeah, and I mean, I come across guys on the trail time and time again. Now that everyone knows who I am for the most part, we always talk and people love these Assaults. Yeah. Why?
Well, it is a more playful sled because it isn't coupled. We talk about a coupled rear suspension and a non-coupled rear suspension.
What's that?
Coupled is where the front suspension, when it hit front of the rear suspension hits a bump, it starts to use the rear suspension, the very rear portion of the rear suspension quickly. So when you hit the bump in the front, it kind of tucks the rear, and so it kind of slides over the bump. But it also makes it where it isn't quite as playful as far as wheeling around and doing that kind of stuff because it has transfer blocks. Right. And the transfer blocks, you can set those to how much transfer you want to have, if you want it to be really playful or if you want it to be planted. This sled does not have that. So you can, it's sort of like we talk about crossover. Somebody's in the mountain or whatever off trail we can do in the east here, and you can actually, you can get the sled on its tail. You can do those things even though it's a long track. So that's definitely a major part of this sled. Right.
So the uncoupledness makes it super playful. Even in the trails, you have a big bump coming up, and you just kind of want to get the skis over. You just preload the rear. Yeah. And again, you get a lot of weight transfer because there is no coupler blocks in the back. So that's what people do like about it. And again, of course, you could do cool wheelies.
Yeah.
But everyone's probably thinking, well, a 146-inch track on a trail, that seems pretty long.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does look long. I mean, when you go from 129 to 137 and people are trying to make that choice, I mean, literally you're only talking about 3 or 3.5 inches on the ground difference. This is a big difference.
This is definitely a big difference. And I mean, if you line the sleds up, you're like, oh, wow, that's definitely longer. Yeah. But one characteristic of an Assault, and you're probably wondering why this random wheel is here, is the back, like almost 12 inches of the rail is actually tipped.
Yeah, it's kicked upward, so when you're driving and you're turning, it's pivoting about at this wheel right here. Right. It's not pivoting off of this wheel.
So yes,
there's no pressure on the track back here.
Right. So yes, it's technically a long track for a trail, but their contact patch is similar to that of a 129 or a 137.
137, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is kind of driven to get this thing to handle better on trail. So you don't have all that track on the ground, pushing you through corners, because that makes it, kind of tough.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But Assaults come in 650, 850, Boost. They come in 135 track, 1.6, and a 2-inch track. This one just happens to be a 2-inch here.
Yeah. So this track is When we talk about studs and tunnel protection, a 2-inch track is not studdable. You know, it's already long enough up in the tunnel. You're not going to protrude studs past that 3/8 inch we talk about. So you would be studding a 135 or a 1/6, and then yes, putting tunnel protectors in the tunnel, just like we talk about on the other sleds, and then it becomes studdable.
And now rear suspension, we're going to go jump back here. We talked again a ton about torsion springs in the short track application for the trail. So what do these come with?
So this unit there's 3 different torsion springs that come optional for this sled. Well, 1 is standard, 2 are optional. But it comes with the middle spring, which is basically you could call it an HD if we were talking about other sleds, because the Indies, the 129 and 137, they come with a lighter spring, and then they have HD and XHD. This has 1 option up, 1 option down.
Right, so it comes with standards. You can get a stiffer one or you can get a softer one.
Right, and the difference being is what the thickness of this spring is what tensions this for ride height depending on somebody's weight. So that besides the point of, yes, you have your low, medium, and high setting on your block, just like we do on everything else.
Yeah, it looks different than on your short track ones that we talk about that are triangles. These are rectangles.
Yeah. So with that, and then we also have the dampening with the shock. We have multiple clicker adjustment here to dampen when you're going through the bumps, or if it's the bumps are deeper that day. You know, we've talked about that stuff a lot as far as adjusting those shocks and making that happen. And this sled has that adjustment on all 4 shocks. Front shocks are 2-inch like an XCR, but single, not dual high-low speed.
Right, when we say 2-inch, we're talking about the body of the shocks.
Yeah, and the front track shock is 2-inch also, like on an XCR or a VR1. The rear shock is 1 3/4 inch, which is standard like on a VR1 or an XC and on this. So the shock package on this is almost almost as good as an XCR, except you do have a smaller rear and you have 1 knob.
Right, you don't have high speed, low speed adjustment. Right. You just have 1 compression adjustment.
Yeah.
But I mean, these guys love them on the trails, especially the bigger guys, because it's a bigger sled. You know, so yes, the front half of the sled and the seat and everything are the same. It feels a little bit bigger because it's a little bit longer behind them.
Yeah, it does. It bridges the gap a little bit more, because now as far as wheelbase going over the bumps, it's a little better.
Right, you're not going to fall into every one of the
holes.
holes.
One of the holes. You do have a lot of support with the suspension for a heavier rider, or you can put a 2-up on this sled too, just like you can on an XE 129 or a 137. It pops on and off really quickly when you want to use it, when you don't want to use it, but it does give you that here. And on this unit, you could put that 2-up seat on and have a bag on it.
Right.
Still have that space.
So the Assaults are they're a hot ticket. And if you guys didn't know, if you've been here a while, you probably know that I actually have an Assault on the way, and that's what I'm going to be on all year. I'm excited about it because it's different for me and Bruce. Normally we're the short track guys. We have them for the most part down to a science. Now we're going to be on one for an entire year, and we're really going to learn what they like, what they don't like, to just help you guys. So if you guys come and call and, hey, what about this? Or hey, what about that? We're going to be able to tell you. So yes, it's going to be a learning curve, but it's going to be an exciting learning curve. And who knows? Maybe I'll be a long track guy for life.
Maybe. I don't know.
Bruce has put some time in. We've both have ridden them before, just not for an extended period of time. So it's going to be exciting. We'll see. But that is going to do it. It's kind of a quick overview of the 24 Polaris Assault. Again, we're going to have a ton of videos on the Assaults because that's what I'm getting this year, whenever it may show up, hopefully sooner rather than later. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.